Wager Talk college basketball tip-off show anchored by Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels has been a success. Dave and Ralph wanted to personally thank each and every one of you who watched the show by having a blowout college hoops special to end the season. How would you like to get every release for the rest of the regular season, all the conference tournament selections, plus March Madness through the national championship on April 5th, or any other postseason play? Now, how about paying only $2.99? Well, $2.99 each is a very fair price, but they wanted to offer a blowout season special. If you go to Dave or Ralph's Wager Talk homepage, you'll see a $2.99 special for both cappers to get college basketball through the Final Four. Now that is a thank you.
All right, guys, here we go. Welcome in. It is that time. The college basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com on this Thursday, March 4th. And, boy, what a day it is going to be as we finish up the regular season. Couple of conference tournaments already underway. 4 games is what we're going to talk about here on the show, along with a couple of best bets. And those 4 games, there's some good ones here. We got OU Texas. We got OSU, Oklahoma State taking on Baylor. We got Michigan State, Michigan, and the Atlantic 10 tournament underway. Rhode Island taking on Dayton. And we are going to break these games down with 3 of the absolute finest gentlemen you will ever meet anywhere on planet Earth, including, look at this, no prop here today, the actual real life Marco D'Angelo in the house with us here today. Dave Koken back in action, and of course, the man below me there, Ralph Michaels in the house. Take a look at these Twitter handles, guys. That's where you can find them, at Marco in Vegas, at Dave Koken, at Cal Sports LV. And it's an exciting time because it is March here, guys. And Marco, been a little while, about a week or so, but congratulations, my man. You're continuing to roll along, I see. And more importantly, you got to love this time of year. What do you got coming on at WagerTalk.com here today for us?
Well, we've got our conference blowout game of the week going today. I like a matchup. You can check that out, and I'm actually putting it in an all-access package, normally $25 for the one play. You can get all of my Thursday plays for $29. We're coming off a 3-1 Wednesday, and our top play yesterday was a big 4% play on NC State. So we've been rolling along all season. We've been bouncing around the top 3 at Wager Talk. We are still number 1 in win percentage and currently number 3 in money won. So it's been a good 2021, and I love the month of March. This is conference tournament week is like no other. You get being a situational handicapper, a lot of great stuff.
And continuing to roll along here, Dave Koken, what are we, 20-5 now, Dave, college basketball and NHL. You just refuse to lose. I love it. NHL best bet tonight, I believe, up. What else we got going on?
I found a dog I think is pretty live on a game that not many people will care about, but under the radar is okay with me. Also have a play on the Oklahoma State Baylor game, and that is a free play. I posted a video on it, and by the way, in the video I say it's February 4th. It's actually March 4th. And I posted the wrong video first, but everything is up right now, and you can see that video on my Twitter page or at my Wager Talk homepage, which is wt.buzz/DC, and we'll talk about it here. And, of course, the special that Ralph and myself have for March Gladness is it's really a great special. A lot of people are taking advantage of it, and hopefully we're going to get you a lot of winners.
As well they should, absolutely. And, Ralph, welcome back. We missed you yesterday. I know this is sleepless nights for you, my man, up working late. Talk to us, my man. What do you got going on tonight on college hoops?
Well, I wish the hard work paid off yesterday, coming off a disappointing 2-3 day. Boy, I've had some rough beats the last couple days, but we know those are going to even out. Strong card, I have 4 plays tonight, all in one package for those 4 games that tip after 6 p.m. Eastern this evening. So check it out, WagerTalk.com. My homepage, just a reminder, the college basketball stat report that was updated Sunday night for Monday morning. I will do it again tomorrow morning, So if you need help on those conferences, those conference tournament pages, make sure you check that out at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/RM.
Bottom line here, guys, no reason not to make it a profitable Thursday and really right through the weekend here in March. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Head over to Marco's page. He's locked and loaded. Dave and, of course, Ralph combined together. Get them 2 for less than 1 right now throughout the college basketball season at WagerTalk.com. All right, before we dive into the 3:30 matchup here today, Rhode Island and Dayton in the Atlantic 10 tournament, just a quick look at what we witnessed 24 hours ago. Some of those top performers, some of the covers, and, of course, those performers include Justin Moore taking over in Villanova over Creighton, which was great. Adam Thistlewood, Colorado State, and New Mexico yesterday, too. That was a great matchup. Some of those covers from last night, too, Ralph. USC, figured they were going to right the ship at home, but, boy, did they righted it in a hurry, too, against Stanford last night.
Oh. Well, I mean, Stanford was without the Silva, and, I mean, he has been their glue the entire year. So that's a winner I left off the board. I put it in a money line parlay, which I lost with Florida the other half. So left that winner off. It was out there, and it was a game I did miss.
Yep, those the upsets yesterday. Oregon State on the road taking care of Utah, and then of course Maryland against Northwestern, and some of those point totals from last night. Also, Colorado State, New Mexico, way over that total there, 23 points in fact. And then Oregon, UCLA, thank goodness for the last 5 or 6 minutes of that game for Oregon. UCLA pretty much had dominated that game right up until, the very end when it mattered. Oregon wins and covers, goes over the total as well by 20.5. And, of course,
a quick mention on the
sure.
New Mexico-Colorado State game. I mean, these New Mexico kids, they got 4 walk-ons that are now playing substantial minutes. They only have 4 scholarship players. And they just can't defend. And it's not like Colorado State's working on their end either, because they know they can do whatever they want in the game. So those are the kind of games that can go over the total when it's just 2 teams basically just playing a game with not much on the line. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens in the second game of their little series.
Yep. Keep an eye on that for sure. Absolutely. And we're going to start today here with this 3:30 matchup, guys, coming up. Rhode Island taking on Dayton. Now, this game opened up at 2.5. I'm seeing 3.5s in a number of places. Also, the total risen from that 135 to 137, even 138 in a couple of places. Marco, I'm going to come to you here. Timing is everything with these 2 teams. Which one better form do you trust more in this Atlantic 10 matchup today?
Well, I really don't trust either one of these 2, so I'm going to look at the game and I'm going to look at the total in this one. They split the regular season meetings, Rhode Island taking the last meeting in a double overtime game, but I feel this total is a little bit too high. And as you mentioned, Joe, we did see money come in overnight on the over as people are leaning that way. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go to the under, and I think we got some value in the number right now. Dayton's held 3 of its last 4 opponents to 39% or less shooting. 2 of those opponents were held to 27 and 30% from the field. The only game where a team shot a decent percentage against them happened to be the game right after they upset St. Louis. So I'm going to go ahead and look for this one to go under the total. I think Dayton will slow the pace down and control the tempo. I like it under the 138.
Dave, certainly a frustrating year for the Rhode Island Rams there. Losers of 6 of their final 7 games. But boy, oh boy, that one win they mixed in there. Double overtime against these Dayton Flyers. What do you think we're going to see today?
And that was a game where they were down 18 well into the second half, and Dayton just fell apart down the stretch. So this number had gone, I think, as high as 5. I know there was 4.5s out there. Now it's come back down. Jeremy Shepard is out for Rhode Island, and he's their most prolific 3-point shooter. And I think the immediate reaction I had was, boy, they're in trouble without him, because they're going to have to score points on the inside, and Fats Russell's going to have to be penetrating and ditching, and probably is going to have to do too much. But then I went back and looked at that other game with Dayton, and the guy who really keyed the comeback was the freshman Ishmael Leggett, who has come on nicely down the stretch. 2 of his last 3 games have been really good. He wasn't very good in the last game against Duquesne, but he's a freshman, and they're going to bounce back and forth. I don't know what to do with this. I think Leggett might actually be the key to the game for URI. If he goes out there and plays like he did in that last matchup with Dayton, the Rams have a pretty good chance here. If he doesn't, then they're going to be really limited as to what they can do. I can tell you this. I think Dayton's the right side, but I backed off it. And part of the reason for that is I don't trust Dayton. Good example in the game against St. Bonaventure last time out. It was a terrible spot for Bonnie. Bonnie's nothing game for them, basically. They'd wrapped up the conference already, and they were very flat. And Dayton had him the whole game and almost gave it away late. I just don't trust Dayton enough to feel that good laying the points. But that's the side I would prefer here.
Well, how about it, Ralph? Side total, who do you trust in this matchup?
I do like Dayton. I think it's a big deal because, Shepard is number 2 in minutes. He spells Fat Russell at the point guard. And then we also have, Dayton that was missing Rodney Chapman for 9 starts. He came back in the last 3 games. They've talked about how, they did lose that game against St. Joe's, which was an ugly loss, and then struggled against Bonaventure. But they've talked about the practice. You got to remember, these games are in Richmond. They're in the city of Richmond. They're actually in where VCU plays. So Richmond lost earlier today to Duquesne. The Dog won. UMass winning big in the second game. But I like Dayton to win and cover. I will mention this, though. Remember, Dayton, a very, very small bench. They usually only play 6 guys, sometimes 7. So if they do get through the first game, the second game can be a real concern.
All right. Well, the next game up here, guys, and boy, this is going to be a doozy. Oklahoma State taking on Baylor in this matchup. Oklahoma State, one of the hottest teams in the Big 12 right now. Total opened up at 149. I will tell you, that continues to drop, 147.5. That 11.5 is 12 in a lot of spots right there. Been bouncing back and forth, and I don't know that any team's got more confidence going into Waco than what Oklahoma State has. Keep in mind, first go-around, there was no Cade Cunningham here for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Dave. They've got him tonight, and Oklahoma State did win that first half in the first meeting. Yeah. They got blown out in the second, but again, no Cade Cunningham. Who do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, they only had 8 players available in that game, and obviously Cunningham wasn't one of them. And you're right, it was a competitive game. The 15-point margin's a bit misleading. Oklahoma State's losses this year, 3, 3, 1, 3, 3, and 3. And they did have a bad game at Kansas and the game with Baylor. But they're obviously a very solid team. Now, they are in a potential bit of a flat spot in that they're just coming off a rivalry sweep against Oklahoma. But I think that's somewhat mitigated by the revenge factor. Now, on the other side, I think here you've got some real potential for a letdown, and this is why I played Oklahoma State tonight. Baylor just beat West Virginia in one of the most thrilling games of the season. That was a great basketball game. When they had to come from behind, it looked like Baylor was going to lose. They come back and win in overtime, and that means they've clinched a conference title for the first time in over 70 years. 70 years. That's amazing. They've got their number 1 seed. They're the number 1 seed in the Big 12. I think while there's a potential of a letdown on both teams, I think it's a lot bigger on the Baylor side. And Baylor's had one less day to prepare coming out of that game in Morgantown. I think Oklahoma State plus 12 is live. They are on my card tonight. That's the game I did the video on as the free play. And I think the Cowboys are a good bet tonight.
5 straight here, Ralph. 4 straight covers for the Cowboys. But it doesn't look like the odds makers are impressed, though, with that, because when these teams first met, without Cunningham, it was 11.5. We're looking at 12 right now, even though that was in Stillwater. Who are you leaning towards in this matchup?
I agree. Baylor continues to be overpriced because of their record. They came back against Iowa State, completely understand that spot off the COVID letdown. Let Iowa State shoot 48%. You get to Kansas, you lose your first game, allow Kansas to shoot 51%. To show you how my week's gone the last few days, I had West Virginia plus the 4.5. Losing that in overtime was absolutely brutal. And they allowed West Virginia to score 46.5. So I agree with everything Dave said. You have one less day. You're off at Kansas and at West Virginia. That negates what Oklahoma State's doing. And let's remember this. This Oklahoma State team may have played very lethargic the first half of the year. Remember, they were ineligible in the postseason. They decided in mid-January to appeal the NCAA. The NCAA said, well, we're not going to get back to you in time. That means you're playing the tournament. So now you have the best player maybe in the country, the number one draft pick in Cade Cunningham, a team that's now playing with the reason to play, a team that's motivated because they are going to make the NCAA tournaments. And like Dave said, they haven't had those bad games down the stretch. And while you think Cade Cunningham's leading them in offense, it's their defense that's impressed the hell out of me. I'm on Oklahoma State as well.
Oklahoma State it is. They will certainly need to control pace here. Can't exchange 2 for 3s with Baylor in this one, Marco. But where are you going to be looking? Are you looking for a side or a total in this matchup?
Well, I'm going to do, last week, Ralph did an imitation of me. I'll do an imitation of Teddy from the Wager Talk Today show, and I'm going to be contrarian. I'm going to go the other direction against my two esteemed colleagues here on the show. I like Baylor here, and I will say the one point that I do agree with that Dave pointed out is about clinching the Big 12 conference. That is a key factor, but I'll tell you what I'm looking at in the game. And everybody's talking about how Baylor's not playing good basketball right now. Well, guys, let's look what happened. They were off with that long COVID layoff. They came back after the long layoff, and they play Iowa State in the first game. So they're supposed to just show up and roll over that team. Unfortunately, they didn't. They won, but they didn't cover in a game that was, much closer than it should have ever been. Why? Well, how about who was on deck? 1, they were rusty. 2, they had Kansas on deck. They were undefeated and rolling into play Kansas. And they lost to Kansas. Tough loss. And I'm going to quote Dave, one of his favorite sayings from the radio show we used to do is you can lose the same game twice. And when they came out of that Kansas game, they were flat for most of that West Virginia game. But yet in a bad spot, traveling from their first loss of the season on Saturday, going to West Virginia, which is not a typical Big 12 road game. That's the furthest one. They were able to find a way to win that game in overtime. And I think now they're bringing the momentum back home. They've had 3 games under their belt. We're going to see the best effort out of Baylor tonight, even though they won and they could have been partying. The fact that they haven't been playing their best basketball, I think is going to keep them focused. And then let's talk about Oklahoma State. How big was that win against Oklahoma? It's a rivalry, but they played their rival on back-to-back games. They played them twice in 3 days. It had even more meaning because there was a little bit of smack talking between some of the players after the first meeting. I like Baylor in this one. Yes, Cade Cunningham is the best player on the floor, no question about that. But Baylor is a good defensive team, and if they are able to neutralize him, I just don't trust the rest of this Oklahoma State team in a spot where they have to be feeling a little bit of fat and sassy themselves. I'm going with Baylor. I'm laying the points here. I think they win this one by 15 or more. I like Baylor.
All right.
Hey, Joe, isn't it amazing that basically all 3 of us said the exact same thing, and yet we come up with different parts? That's why handicapping college basketball is so unique. Okay, you break it now. You're the OSU alum. You tell us. You like them tonight or not?
Oh, stop. You know where the bet's already in. Stop it. You know where I'm going. Give me a break. All right, listen, before we get to this, and by the way, 7 p.m. Eastern time tip-off on that game. There is one other 7 p.m. tip-off game that we're going to talk about here in just a second, Michigan State, Michigan. But the bottom line is all 3 of these gentlemen locked and loaded right now at WagerTalk.com. Go get the best bets, get the plays, get your 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access pass. As a matter of fact, Dave and, of course, Ralph combined together, $299 right through the national championship. You can go ahead and do that right now at WagerTalk.com. And you heard Marco tell you his package is ready to go tonight, $29, ready and loaded. Let's make it a profitable Thursday here with these guys at WagerTalk.com. All right, Michigan State, Michigan here, guys. Also 7 p.m. and a total that opened up at, let's see, 140. And that is right around, what we're seeing here now. The 13 is now, I'm seeing 12s in a lot of places. And Ralph, I'm coming to you. Michigan State, big turnaround here. Late season push for the tourney, right? 4 of its last 5 conference games, they have won. A win here will go a long way into assuring that we see Izzo and company in the tournament. Do they get that win here tonight?
Well, a win here, or they get him at home in the final game of the regular season. So, I'm more likely to back them in a win here because I don't want to face Michigan off that game they had against Illinois. And, I guess, he was speechless at how bad they played, and he called it a disaster, Juwan Howard did. But, that happens a lot of times when, if they're warming up and all of a sudden DeSumu's not playing and you say, oh, my God, Illinois is missing their best player. We're at home. We're on a roll. I'll use a Marco. We're fat and sassy. I think probably inside, Juwan Howard was very happy they lost the game and played the way they did. That keeps them totally mentally focused now for the rest of the season. He can go back and talk about how bad they played and how they let down in a situation like this. The top 3 scorers who normally average 42 points for Michigan put up 15. I think Michigan's going to come out. I like Michigan in the first half here. I think they are absolutely going to come out and fire, inspired, and I don't mind laying the 6 in the first half. 6 or even 6.5 in some places in the first half, jumping out quick. So full game, I think Michigan State's got a lot of fight and can battle back, but I look for the Wolves to attack early.
Yeah, well, it is interesting, Marco. I got, like you said, home and home here coming up, but who do you like in this matchup in Ann Arbor?
Well, obviously Michigan State's making that late season run, but I'm just not 100% sold on Michigan State yet. This isn't your typical Michigan State team where it's, a race to 60. This team can move the ball up the floor, and I think that's going to be a mistake in this game because Michigan is going to come out with fire in their eyes. I'm looking to the total in this one. I'm going to go over the total here. Michigan was held their worst game of the season. They shot just 34% from the field. They scored just 53 points. As Ralph said, they're going to have fire in their eyes when this game starts. And I think that quick start is going to just keep things rolling the entire game. If Michigan State is down by double digits, they can't try to take the air out of the basketball. They got to try to keep answering. And this one is going to get over what is a low total, in my opinion, of that 139.5, 140 range. I like this one over the total. And guys, a little note on Michigan State. If you want a reason to go against them, if you want to lay the big number, the last 2 seasons when they're coming off a road game in which they allowed 60 points or less, they are 0-7 against the spread in their next game. I lean to Michigan in the game, but I think the total is the safer play, and I'm going over for my official play.
Going to learn a little bit here, Dave, about this Michigan squad coming off of that just terrible game here. What do you think we see tonight?
A much better Michigan team. And, my opinion hasn't changed on Michigan State. In this 20-5 run I've had, I had a winner on them against Ohio State, but that wasn't because I think they're as good as Ohio State. It was just a really good spot with Ohio State being shorthanded, down one of their interior defensive guys, which really matters because Ohio State's weakness is probably interior defense. So it was, and Michigan State got every call in that game. But then they went out and lost to Maryland. They weren't that impressive in the win against Indiana. I did lose that game. I took Indiana plus the points. Really could have gone either way. Michigan State kind of got them late in that game. They're not an NCAA tournament team. I said this repeatedly throughout these broadcasts, throughout the season. This is not an NCAA tournament team. And it's not because they're just lousy offensively. They're one of the weakest teams in the Big Ten offensively. And that creates a problem for them here, because if Michigan comes out and rediscovers their offensive touch, how's Michigan State going to stay in the same zip code? I don't know. They can. I made the line 13. So, look, you're paying a premium for Michigan, but it's the only side I'd look at. I think this has the potential to be a wipeout.
All right, there you go. That also 7 p.m. Eastern time tip-off here tonight in Ann Arbor, Michigan State. That leaves us one more before we get to our best bets. That's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight, guys. We're going back to the Big 12. Texas taking on Oklahoma in this big matchup here. Oklahoma trying to get a W here, opens up as a two-point favorite against Texas. And I am seeing two still pretty much across the board. The total is 143 now, pretty steady there. And Marco, I'm going to come to you because most of the things that we said and you had said about Oklahoma State coming off of that rivalry and kind of a flat spot, we can make the same argument here for Oklahoma, can't we?
Well, the only problem is they're the one that lost both of those games, so they should be a team with a sore butt, so to speak, here coming out of that one. This is the reason I'm going to back Oklahoma. When I first started to look at this game, I said, you know what? Texas looks like a live dog here. Oklahoma's not playing well. They lost 3 in a row to finish up the season. But as I dug a little bit deeper and you look at that 3-game losing streak, 2 of them coming to their arch rival, the only concern I have is, does Oklahoma have the hangover effect of losing both games to Oklahoma State? The fact that they did lose both, they're definitely not going to be fat and sassy, that's for sure. So I think they're going to come to play. And you don't want to head into the tournament on a 4-game losing streak, especially after 2 of them were to your arch rival. So I expect a good game at home tonight from the Sooners. In Texas, you look at them, they've won 2 of their last 3 games. The loss in the middle there is understandable. It was right after the Kansas game. Even if Kansas isn't as strong as they've been in past years, it's still Kansas. It's still the name of the Big 12, the team that's owned it for the last decade. So that was a big win for them, and they come back the next game on the road and lost to Texas Tech soundly by 9 points. But bounced back against Iowa State, which means absolutely nothing because that team is horrible in the Big 12 this year. I'm going to go ahead and take Oklahoma. I think the coaching there will have them focused for a season-ending win to get a little bit of momentum heading into the Big 12 tournament. It is the last game of the season. You can't use the angles that we like to use so often in final home games and such because it's really not a factor this year without fans and stuff as far as senior nights go. But I still like the home side in the finale.
Lon Kruger in Norman, Dave. Kind of hard to go against this team. What do you think?
I don't know. No idea. Oklahoma. I made Oklahoma 3.5. So a little value on the point spread, but I don't like their form. It's one thing to lose twice to Oklahoma State, and they were close games. They also lost to Kansas State. That's pretty bad. So they're not in good form right now. Texas has revenge from the 1-point home loss to Oklahoma earlier this season. So I think situationally it might favor Texas. The value and the number slightly favors Oklahoma. Next.
All right, there you go. And Ralph, I believe the first game that they played, Texas took 25 threes, only made 6 of them. I don't think Raineri played in that game either, though. So they better do better than that in this one, no?
Yeah, well, I am, does an extra day matter? Yeah, I think so. Texas is playing their 3rd straight road game. And they were at Iowa State, but that was a single-digit game for most of the game, and they extended the lead. It was another loss of mine that I had Iowa State plus 12.5. Texas was up 10 with 22 seconds to go and scores the last 4 points. Not bitter at all. I agree with Dave. You look at Oklahoma the last 5 games, this team is a very good offensive team. They've shot 45, 40, 39, 49, and 40. So by no means am I backing Oklahoma. But in this situation, off the losses, back at home, Texas playing their 3rd road game in 6 days, I am gonna give a slight lean to the Sooners.
All right, slight lean to the Sooners. 9 p.m. Eastern time tip in that Big 12 matchup here. Loaded card today. It's already underway. A couple there, and Of course, plays are up and ready to go at WagerTalk.com for these gentlemen as well. If you head over there right now, Marco locked and loaded, $29 package ready to go here at WagerTalk. And, of course, Dave and Ralph locked and loaded together. You can get both of them now through the national championship. All their college basketball plays, all access pass. $2.99 for both of them. Go take advantage of that, guys, right now at WagerTalk.com. All right, before we get to the best bets, let's take a look at our friends from the Gold Sheet. And they've got a game. Oh, wow, look at that. What a shock. Texas, Oklahoma going over here tonight in this one. And they were in the 150s the first time around, Ralph. So it does appear that our friends at the Gold Sheet believe we're going to see a lot of points in this one as well.
Well, I think Oklahoma probably wants to try to get their offensive issues done and try to press that pace a little bit and see if their guys can run and get an offensive rhythm. So can't argue with the play. Gold Sheet play of the day, Texas, Oklahoma over the total.
Good stuff there. All right, Marco, coming to you, my friend. Talk to us here. The game that you got circled and best bet here.
Well, Utah's not playing, so I had to find another team to go with. And, you talked about conference tournaments starting. And I said, I love this time of the year because you get situations that you don't normally get during the regular season. And we've got one of those tonight, and we're going to go to the Atlantic 10. We got George Washington playing George Mason. On paper, this looks like a mismatch. It looks like all George Mason. George Mason's coming off their season-ending game. They routed LaSalle by 35 points, 89-54. They're laying a number here tonight of 7.5. Looks like should have no problem with that. You take a look at George Washington. They've lost 2 of their last 3. But I want to point out, George Washington was one of those teams in COVID protocols that missed a ton of games. They missed over a month of the season from January 17th to their return on February 21st. And when they returned on the 21st, they had to play 3 games in 5 days. They were rusty, had the schedule they had to play. 2 of the 3 were on the road. And what'd they do? Well, they lost 2 of those 3 games. Now they came back and played yesterday. And why I point out yesterday for a couple reasons. It gives me an angle that I like in the conference tournament. When you get some of these teams that have a bye, the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, that team's rested. They didn't play yesterday. The other team had to play. Now they got to play on back-to-back days. That makes it even easier for the team that didn't play. Not all the time, guys. What you have is they're playing in a different gym. You got different sight lines you're not usually accustomed to. Plus, you got a little bit of nerves playing in a tournament. They got that out of the way yesterday. Also, the game that they played was a tight game. So they got that out of the way. If this game is tight late, they've already played a pressure-packed game in advancing 53-49. I'm going to take the inflated number. Yes, I say inflated because the public will gravitate to the favorite because they're rested. We get a little bit of value in the line as well. Give me the dog that won yesterday. I'll take George Washington plus the points. Not going to call for the outright upset, but I'm going to say this one goes right down to the wire. Take the points.
64-38, all sports run, guys. Last 42, Marco is crushing it across the board tonight. His best all-conference play, 4%, ready to go, all access. Just $29. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Dave, let's talk, my man. I know you're going Oklahoma State here, just to recap, right, but I do believe you have a NHL best bet and a college basketball best bet available.
Well, the college basketball is not a best bet, but it's a play I like. And I try to have only one best bet a day because if you've got more than one, then how can they be a best bet?
Good point.
I could say best bets, I guess, but I don't know. The NHL is the best bet. The 3% on the college basketball and also a 3% on Oklahoma State. Just a quick note, by the way, George Washington, George Mason, GW has no chance when they face a team that's stacked on the inside. They're just too small. But George Mason doesn't have any size to speak of on the inside. It's actually a pretty good matchup for GW. I like Marco's side there. I think he's got a winner. So hopefully tail mine and get a win and tail his and get a win as well.
Love it. All right, Ralph, where are you going, my man? What do you got circled for us? Oh,
How about number 351?
that's my boy. Atta boy.
How can I bet on like the second worst team in college basketball with Alabama State, game 0-5-3? Well, I'll tell you what, you're getting 8 points against a Grambling team that's not much better. Grambling's 1-7 as a favorite here. And guess what? They were a 17.5-point favorite to Mississippi Valley State over the weekend, and they lost outright. Alabama State on a nice run, covering 7-1. 7 of the 8 games when they're getting 8 or more, they keep it close under Mo Williams, and they're going to keep this game close. Game 0-5-3, Alabama State plus the points.
All right, love it. And I love this spot. Iowa State, give me 17. Texas Tech. Guess who they got on deck on Sunday? That would be Baylor in Waco. So very well could be a flat situation here for them. Iowa State still looking for that first conference win here. They're going to give them everything they have. Give me the points at Iowa State here tonight against Texas Tech. Recap time, guys. One more. Here it is. Ralph Michaels going Alabama State, giving it 8 points. Oklahoma State plus the 12 for Dave Koken. Marco, G-Dub, 7.5. Give it to him. I'm taking a lot of pluses on that board here. Plus 17 there, Iowa State. And, of course, the over, Texas and Oklahoma at 143. Our friends from the Gold Sheet. Guys, head over to WagerTalk.com right now. Marco locked and loaded right now. All access. $29 ready to go here tonight. And, of course, Dave and Ralph combined now through the national championship game. That's right. All college basketball, all access, $2.99. Get them both for that one price. Amazing deal. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner and absolutely hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you come back and join us again as conference week getting ready next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get you all set up heading into the weekend. There he is, Ralph Michaels, Alabama State. Guys, best luck with your plays. We'll talk to you again next 24 hours. We'll talk to you then. Good luck.